gosh, I haven't been live in so long. Hi, everybody. How are you? We are live. I don't think I've ever done the monthly reading energy report live. It's usually prepared for you in advance, but we were in Spain and we just got back last night and I'm totally jet lagged, but I know this is a very important thing to offer you. So here I am, and you're going to be seeing a lot more of me live upcoming. I want to share with you what we can look forward to and what we have to overcome this June. So June is a really mixed bag of energy. So I think back to May, and we're still dealing with May. If we look at these three cards in the center, and the cards really reflect the energy that we're as a collective experiencing. So you'll figure out how it applies to you individually, but this is really more the collective energy and what's going on for all of us. So the unfinished symphony card makes a lot of sense for me because it's at the center. It's really the major theme of the entire month. And although this month is so different in terms of its feeling, it feels a lot lighter. We're not in that same kind of intensity that we were in May, and nobody could have predicted. Although, it's funny, astrologers, my cards, I remember the obstacle card, which from last month for May was about transmuting pain and really understanding what the alchemy of suffering was. And I didn't realize just how much of it was going to happen in May. And we had shootings and the war and famine and heat waves and so many things. And I know that people who watch me come from all over the world, so I don't want to just talk about one geographical region. But the bottom line is this, is that there is still a tremendous amount of grief and rage and no place to put the feelings that a lot of people are experiencing. And so with this unfinished symphony card, it's the two cards that flank it tell us, and again, this is where we start in June. It makes a lot of sense because we're just now, Mercury's just gone direct. We've gone through, I think, one of the worst Mercury retrogrades ever. And then now we're sorting through also the eclipse season. So these next couple of weeks of half of the month of June is finding that healing place. We just had our new moon in Gemini, which brought us an opportunity to set intentions. And the intention really brings us into that healing point in mid-month at the full moon in Sagittarius. And then we also have the solstice this month, and we have Pride Month, at least we do in Canada. I think it is also in the States and other places in the world. We also celebrate Pride Month. There's lots of celebratory ideas too going along. So the idea of the flexible card is about our adaptability to recognize that both and, right? We don't just stay in one emotional soup that we don't avoid it, but we recognize that it exists, it coexists with other things as well. It coexists with the poignancy of our humanity, as well as the difficulties and the challenges, as well as the things that we're overcoming and the joy that is possible and the abundance, et cetera, that still exists, even though the pain and the chaos and the losses, et cetera, are obvious, very obvious. So the poised is in the protection position because it says we're not ready to move on, nor should we. And this is not a time to sit on the sidelines and just hope it's all going to get better. This is a time to really honor the way we feel and recognize that all the feelings that we feel are transient, but they're really important, very, very important. So if you don't feel ready, and you feel like, even though June is like, it's that solar power and there's, a lot of joy in June, et cetera, and you're not ready for that yet. And you realize that I still need to experience what I can't speak to. Like a lot of people don't know how to talk about what's going on. And I think what's really important is to remember that there are so many ways in which people manage the experience that is so challenging. And it's kind of like, I read this beautiful, beautiful post by Anne Lamott, and her answer was just hold hands, hold hands, bring more love. Everybody is suffering. And that's really important, that even though it's also a time to be invited into a more playful spirit, communication, and light, etc., there still is this really important part of us that needs healing. It's requiring healing. It's calling for us. There's so many changes that were not of our choice. And whether it's affected you really personally, really like locally and personally, or whether you're observing it, you're still part of the human race and you can't help but not be impacted by these things. So it's really important that you acknowledge and give yourself permission to be exactly where you are. Not everybody is in the same place, and that's okay. You have to very much be part of what communication that you have to yourself, and spirit talks to you, because it's about communication as well this month, is, am I being honest about the kind of care I need, the self-care I need for myself, my family, my close circle and my community? You can't rush through any of this, right? And the best part of this month is the fact that we actually are given an opportunity, given a beautiful astrological container, energetic container, that enables us to actually process these things in a way that we didn't have clarity before. So there's a greater clarity coming to the individual person as well, that then impacts the collective in a really positive way. And when I say positive, I'm not talking about happy, joyous, and free. I'm talking about healing. I'm talking about the poignancy for everyone, recognizing their humanity, moving beyond seeing their rights and into more of their obligations to one another. So this is really about the call for our collective connections. It's the connections are going to be very important. And how we communicate about who we are to other people. That's also really crucial. So it's okay. We can slow down. We're not ready to move forward too quickly, and nor should we be. That's what this says. And it makes sense. First little bit, Mercury's just gone stationary. So we are kind of still like, oh, what just happened? It's a sense of, I've just had this intense experience. I need time to process it. Now, these next three cards tell us where we're naturally heading, what we're being required to look at, etc. And it is the processing of injustice, right? So the to be fair card is in the protection position, and it always talks about observing injustice in the world, observing the pain, observing the suffering, even experiencing that yourself. The unfairness of it all is saying, it's asking us to really acknowledge that, as well as seeing our hearts are broken, the loyal heart card. But at the same time, right, so the loyal heart is in protection. It's asking us to, like, what do we stand for? Like, what's really important to us genuinely? It's really asking us, the first part of the month, to ask us what we really believe in, what's important to us, what matters most to all of us, right? That's going to be really important. And again, no judgment on my part. I'm just telling you what the energy says here. And again, you will hear this your way and apply it to your life, how it makes sense to you. In the center, though, it's really interesting because Treasure Island is in the center, which is the card of abundance. And I know that by the time we hit our full moon in Sagittarius, midpoint of the month, there really is an invitation to recognize that when we heal, when we move beyond all the turmoil and the trauma, et cetera, when at least we give a little crack to let the light in, we see that there's great value in this, that we can actually turn these very difficult moments and into something that is useful for ourselves and others, right? Treasure Island also says, don't forget the abundance in the world, that, when you're feeling okay, you can help other people. When you're, sometimes communities come together in grief, right? And that's that sense of holding, my heart is broken, I want to hold hands with you too. And then somehow we find our solace there, our sunshine again, our sense of connection when we feel super disconnected. That said, because the Treasure Island card is there as well too, and it matches Unfinished Symphony, it's also a good time to get reclarification on your goals. So I'm moving this into a little bit of a different direction now. So we talked about the emotional, because again, our emotions impact the energy that we experience, we reflect on, and then also our behaviors, and then what we put back out into the world. And this is saying this month is also really important for you to regroup. It's one of the things I just said this morning in my membership site. in the Oracle Circle membership, that we're really a place there where we can recharge our batteries. Each place, each community has purpose, and that's our purpose. You recharge, you regroup, you're with friendly, safe people, and you reconnect to spirit in there, and you find a way to navigate. And this is saying what it is, right? So it's saying, yes, you have to remember you have a purpose and you matter. And though your dreams still matter, even though that you've been exposed to and have been impacted by a lot of turmoil. Okay, so that's the natural flow of things. Now, these are the nature of our obstacles. These 3 cards will tell us what energy is helping us overcome our obstacles or the nature of our obstacles, both and. So this is really interesting because in the center, it's milk and honey. So I love this card because it tells us the way we can't dissolve our obstacles, and we can't just like wiggle our noses like on Bewitched and all bad things go away. It's bullshit. That's not true. The happy, joyous, and free, yes, that's still important, but this is saying that acknowledging that the world is upside down, that's serendipity and protection, but still being playful anyway, and recognizing when we're connected to each other and our loved ones, et cetera, that there still is love, and there's love that we can bring to our environment, our people, even people that we resented. We can just say, I'm done. I'm especially on that full moon. That's about the higher purpose of things. I'm going to release all this gunk so that I can participate in this new birthing and know what your why is. That's the other piece. So the way around your own obstacles is to ask yourself, why do I feel like this? Why am I behaving like this? Why am I expecting this? Like, why do I see the world through this lens? It's really a beautiful month to self-reflect, to self-examine. Now, when I see these 2 cards together, right, these 2 here, so that's how we get over the obstacle, and this is a really this is potentiality. This is the potential of where we're heading. These are really important cards because they speak to each other. The milk and honey is all about remembering what you love, remembering how to love, remembering your childlike quality of the world, and go back and look at the world with reverence and awe. And yes, human beings have done terrible things and can do terrible things, but when you think about your relationship to God or spirit, or and then seeing God and spirit in others, it brings a very different type of hope into the conversation. And also the willingness to be playful regardless. So being really resilient to be in more than one place at one time, to say, yes, I have all of these really difficult things going on, but I also can play. I feel more clarity. I can, communicate my desires, et cetera, that still count. And the serendipity card in protection also says sometimes everybody else is having a great time except me. And that is also false. That's the nature of an obstacle. When you think that, there are people, if you feel happy, again, I repeated this, I said this earlier in my membership site in our live call today. The idea, some friend of mine was saying how they were feeling guilty because they were actually really happy in their life. And although they were seeing a tremendous amount of turmoil in the world, they were serving at their highest capacity right now. And they're like, I'm feeling really guilty about this. And I'm like, how many people are you able to serve when you feel like that? Way more, right? Yes. And so the idea that we should be okay with, it's a roller coaster ride you're on. If you're happy, let yourself be happy. Let yourself feel those feelings and say, oh, when I feel this feeling and I feel good and I feel grateful and I know I can help more people. When I'm feeling the need to heal, et cetera, and I need to back off, that's when you back off. That's when you do that. So don't guilt or shame anybody when they're like, don't you see how horrible things are in the world? No. That person there that can bring some light, they're the lighthouse. They're needed too, right? So warriors, the lighthouses, the healers, we're all being called right now. Just know which one you are and why you are that, right? Like, I am not a warrior type at all. I'm a healer type. I'm the squishy hug that you come to in the Oracle Circle membership, and that's the energy. It's like my other friend, she likes to be dangerous. Like, okay, you just have to know what your why is for how you show up in the world, and know that's okay. The universe needs every kind of person out there right now. And so do what you need to do to take care of yourself. It's so, so important that you do that before you think about how you're going to serve, right? It's like, how can I be that clear channel for divine action when my ego is out of control, right? So it's like, relieve me of the bondage of self. That's what prayer I say. Relieve me of the bondage of self so that I may better do thy will. And sometimes I pull a card and it says, take a nap, because it's like, be quiet, don't add, just allow yourself to process. Like, so you got to know exactly where you are in your own life to know what your next action is too. So it's really about clarity as well, about clarity and recognizing when you're not ready to take the next step, and that's got to be okay. And then when you do feel like you have these playful qualities and this sense of abundance and whatever, then you take action on that. But both can be held together without disrespecting the other. That's really key right now. Now, this is the hidden influences, things that are going on in the collective. We have no control over this, right? And then these three cards are about divine intervention. What does spirit have to say to us about this stuff? So here we go. What is going on right now? So round and round is we're back again. Interestingly enough, too, and I'm only speaking for America. I'm not speaking for America, but I'm just mentioning America because they are in there. I say they because I'm Canadian and I live in Canada. So we're looking at the Pluto return for the United States, right? So there is a returning of the storyline from 287 years ago. I think that's right. I could be wrong. So don't quote me on that. But it's a long period where the planet Pluto is right again, back where it was during this time, and it's asking and requiring the whole country to reckon with something. And then you're going to notice this also for yourself personally. What patterns have returned to you for you to look at, to heal? That's important. Why? Because that's where the gift is, right? These are two cards as well, too, really important. So Treasure Island and By the Book is all about putting firm foundations, and the universe, and what's going on already, the collective is resorting itself. It seems really frightening right now. And it's like, well, what if it's sorting itself in a way that I don't like? So that's the question, right? So that's what do I do? Am I in the same place again? If I do what I did, I'm going to get what I got. So I've got to do something different. I have to think a different way. I have to be open to something that I don't know yet. That's what's really important here. And exchanging gifts is a fantastic card for this section here, because it's what's going on in the collective that we don't see. That's not in the news, right? So remember, if it bleeds, it leads. That's what I always say. I have nothing against media. Okay. I'm not an anti-media person. I'm a media right now. I'm talking to you on Facebook or for YouTube or wherever the hell I'm talking. I just, so that this is about thinking for yourself and recognizing that there's so much good going on that we don't see because it's not newsworthy either, right? Like, we see these horrific things that are very true and very real, and they're impacting everybody. But we have to trust here too, stuff's going on behind the scenes that are in our favor, in our benefit, to benefit humankind. So those are not, they're not leading in the conversations right now, so just keep that in mind when you think nothing good is going on in the world. I heard somebody say that the other day. I'm like, no. You've got to really trust. We just don't hear about all the good. We hear about everything that is tumultuous and chaotic and difficult and painful. Very important to know that both and exists. That exists 1000%, but there's also this that's existing too. So there are things going on in the collective that we don't see, and we have to trust in our primary relationship, which is by the book, which is about our relationship to our higher power. Now, this card here represents laws. So when we look at this, remember, we have no control over these three cards. What are you doing, Mark?
Stop pulling the cards down.
Oh, I'm sorry, honey. I'm pulling the cards down. Sorry about that. Yes, apologies. I don't see this. Okay. So this card represents laws, right? So this is also really important. How do laws change? Well, laws change by people who vote. I know we're going to an election, I think in Canada soon, any minute now, but and other places, this gives us an opportunity to make a statement about what we want. I'm not here to talk about politics at all whatsoever, but this is also a point where what is the choice that we want to see, and what is in our highest good, and to take that action, and make sure that you're not complacent. I think that's the other thing. This is about realizing that, what? I've been here before. I'm going to do something different. I'm not going to allow myself to be complacent. But I'm also going to realize the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So that's the why, the self-examination. What is it? What is in my power? And of course, we can only change ourselves. So, and then ask ourselves, am I participating or am I a bystander? That's, but everybody's sense of participation is different. That's the other thing. Remember, I said that you have to respect how everybody chooses, which is kind of hard these days, given that there's so much division, but hopefully that's not going to last forever. It just won't. So, and that may make me sound a bit of a Pollyanna, but I really believe, like, I've held on to my middle spot there because I really believe that we still need nuanced conversations. We still need to learn about why other people don't think the same way as us. That's what I believe. You don't need to. You don't need to. Take what you like from this and leave the rest. Anyway, now let's take a look at what is potentially divine, right? Peace. This peace card is here. So we, by our own human design, are going to F it up, basically. Okay. So that's basically what this is implying here, because this has got to do with spirit, not us. This is the divine intervention. So something is coming, a change in the wind that we don't make ourselves. And that's where those synchronistic moments where all the parts, like the perfect storm, is there to make real, genuine change. And we don't know what that's going to look like. That's the other thing. The form is not our business. And that's what Spirit says right here. Peace is available to us. And if basically we don't make it happen, something is going to be coming in to us and for us, and that we won't understand when it first comes in, but it will actually either buy us time, because the TikTok card is there, or stretch time in a way that enables us to take a breath and to really ask, what is important? What do we really think matters for the world and for ourselves, our families, etc.? We can no longer see ourselves either as completely independent from one another. We're not independent of the environment. We're not independent of each other. We're not independent. We're just not, like it or not. We are really interconnected with everyone and everything. And that's how we were made. We were always made like that. And spirit is everywhere. So this is also a reminder to bring that primary relationship to the forefront. When spirit leads, we have a lot less bleeding, a lot less of it. Okay, so let me give you a quick summary. This month is a mixture of processing, really important to process, not to avoid your process, that's the other piece, but to recognize too that there is still the availability of the clarity and joy and opportunities, and also to ask for that clarity so that you can see why you're here and how you're meant to serve. And a day at a time, it's a day at a time. Yes, we're still seeing this ongoing. It's a story in motion. Stories in motion just don't start on the first of the month. It's like, oh, new story. That's not what's happening here. There's a continuation, but the energy offers us a greater opportunity to better ourselves and to heal. That's really key here. However, the method in which you feel called to serve. Remember that. Now, it's not one size fits all for anybody. And also what I love about this month, I'm going to say that, yes, we have to just acknowledge these certain things, but that we are all in this together. I think that's what this card reading reminds me of. And our solstice is coming up the 21st. I hope you'll come. I'm doing a beautiful ceremony and ritual with Leslie Tagorda, fabulous astrologer. She did our winter solstice last year, and everybody loved her so much, so we invited her back. In the northern hemisphere, it's the greatest point of light, but it reminds us that, hey, there is a darkness there. We can't just do love and light. It's love, light, and shadow, and that's just the way it is. That's the way it's going to be. And to give the respect where respect is due in terms of those things, and to realize that everything is possible for us. But again, why do the things that you say you want matter to you? And how is that going to contribute? Find your communities too, really important. Who are you going to hold hands with? I feel so blessed that I have a great membership site at Oracle Circle Membership. We really do hold hands in there and hold space for each other. And as I said, it's a place to recharge your batteries, your spiritual batteries, and remember your primary relationship with spirit and the mystical qualities of life that sometimes we forget when we're out in the fray. Right. So find the right community for you. Maybe you want a community that's like all like geared up and, out there to like make waves. I splash. We don't make any waves, but our waves are a different type. Anyway, I'm babbling now. I'm just babbling now. Thank you so much for listening. And we are going to be doing more of these lives. Right, Mark?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. And so I'm hopeful this month that, we're all in it together, right? We're all in it together. And I breathe easier looking at this month though, too. That's the feeling, the energetic feeling that I have. Yeah. What a time. What a time. Just remember, love is something that you share. You don't just keep it to yourself. So I'm going to give you some of mine. Love you.